In ancient times, before the world was divided between mortals and gods, a fragile balance between light and darkness reigned on earth. In the heart of the kingdom of Argathia, hidden among the mountains of fire, lay a legendary artifact, the Sword of Oreth, a blade forged by the god of fire himself, capable of crushing any dark magic. But the sword had been lost for centuries, hidden in the Temple of Oblivion, a cursed place where only the chosen of the gods could step. Meanwhile, from the shadows, a terrible threat arose. Kaelan, the Shadow Wizard, a son of darkness, who had obtained the power of the Black Eye, a forbidden crystal that allowed him to control the souls of the dead. As his hordes of cursed warriors approached the kingdom, King Ija of Argathia knew that his people's only hope was to find the lost sword. And for this impossible mission, he summoned to his court the bravest of warriors, Arian, a mysterious mercenary, the son of a fallen hero. Thus began a journey full of betrayal, danger, and hidden truths. An adventure that would decide the fate of the world. For 3 days and 3 nights, Arian and his companions had traveled through the stone wasteland. The group was made up of 4 brave souls: Arian, the chosen warrior, a young man with an unknown past and an unwavering desire for justice; Kyra, a priestess of the wind god, able to see the future in the stars; Run, a Nordic giant, possessor of colossal strength and unwavering loyalty; Vayan, a skilled thief, with a sharp mind and lightning reflexes. When they arrived before the Temple of Oblivion, their breath was taken away. Its black walls were covered with ancient runes, and statues of colossal warriors guarded the entrance. "We are approaching," Kyra said, touching the inscriptions with her cold fingers. "I feel the forces that sleep here. If we awaken them, we will not emerge whole." Arian said nothing. He knew that time was not on their side. In the distance, the shadow of a rider moved on the crest of a cliff. Kaelan's spies were watching them. Inside the temple, the air was heavy, as if an unseen presence were watching over them. On the walls, ancient paintings depicted a legendary battle between gods and demons. In the center of the main chamber, a stone altar held what appeared to be a giant sarcophagus. "The sword should be there," Kyra whispered, but the moment Arian stepped toward the altar, a terrifying voice echoed in the darkness. "Who dares to disturb the Guardian's rest?" From the shadows, giant stone golems had sprung to life. Their glowing eyes burned with a spectral light. Run drew his axe. Now the fun begins. The first golem raised a massive mace and swung it at the group. The floor shook, and the adventurers barely managed to dodge. "We cannot defeat them by force alone," Kyra shouted. "They are protected by magic." Vayan, who had approached the altar, had deciphered the ancient inscriptions. "We must not fight them. We must speak the name of the king who reigned when the sword was created." Arian remembered his father's story. In a loud voice, he spoke, "Oreth, son of fire, the immortal king." The guards stopped, their eyes dimmed, and they slowly retreated into the shadows. The curse had been lifted. But before Arian could reach for the sword, a dark laugh echoed behind them. Kaelan had arrived. The wizard extended his dark scepter, and shadows gathered around him. "You have come this far only to fall before me," Kaelan said, raising an army of cursed souls. Arian waited no longer. He threw himself upon the altar, and with a burst of light, the sword of Oreth was in his palm. The power of the gods coursed through him, and Kaelan's darkness began to weaken. The wizard raised his scepter, and summoned a colossal demon from the shadows. "You will die here." Arian looked to his companions. Run raised his axe. Kyra summoned divine storms, and Vayan sharpened his daggers. "Then let us see who falls first," Arian said, charging into the fray. With superhuman speed, he cut through the shadow demon, and in one precise move, he split Kalen's chest. The wizard screamed, trying to resist, but the sword sucked his strength away. In a final scream of despair, his body disintegrated in a whirlwind of light and darkness. Kalen was gone. The comrades looked at each other, wounded but victorious. Oratha's sword lost its luster, and the temple's curse was lifted. The world is saved, for now, Kyra said, looking at Erion, but somewhere far away, beyond the mountains, another shadow lurked in the darkness. The story did not end here. A greater war was to come.